Welcome, everybody, to episode 62 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. Russell, how are you this fine Sunday evening?
I am very, very well, mate. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. I've had a good week.
Yeah.
Some hot weather. We've had a nice mild day today.
Yeah.
So just chilling out.
Good to hear. And I think there's enough going on hobby-wise this week for us to have a pretty interesting show. So
yeah, lots going on in the hobby, lots going on in the NBA. It's good.
Yeah, I'm definitely good to go. So I think this week we're going to just kick off with an advertisement. So thank you so much to the Hobby Hangout for supporting our show. They are an Australian group who just produce these fantastic trading card shows for us to enjoy. So please support them. Please get out to their shows. You'll find tickets at www.thehobbyhangout.com.au. At the moment, they've got 2 shows currently being sold tickets for. So the 5th of February at the Tivoli, that's in Brisbane, and then on the 5th of March at the Melbourne Pavilion. Adam and I will both be there on the 5th of March.
Yeah, we'll be there at the Pavilion in the March for the March one. Unfortunately, we're not getting up to sunny Queensland for the one. That's only a few weeks away.
Thanks again to our sponsor. Please check it out. All the other shows have sold out, so you can't just turn up on the day and buy tickets.
Just on the Hobby Hangout, they've put on a couple of really, really nice shows in Melbourne, and that's all I can speak of.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same all over Australia, though.
Look, these guys aren't just setting up a random tent in the middle of nowhere and asking you to trade basketball cards. They're really quality venues.
Yeah,
I think
their speakers,
the Pavilion was
trade
great.
tables, food, drinks. They've got everything sorted out. Yep.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Anybody couldn't recommend it high enough. Get your tickets. Head on down. Catch up with me in Melbourne.
That's right.
I'll be definitely at the Melbourne show. That's for sure. Although I would like to get to one of the interstate ones at some point.
Yeah,
at some point for sure.
Alrighty, Adam. Logo reveal.
We've been in discussions with
in negotiations
with a friend of ours, Al. Thank you, Al. If you're listening, it's been a long time coming. Our current logo, which anyone on the video or the live stream can see, this is what we've been working with since we started, and it started off as a placeholder, and it held a nice place for the better part of a year or so.
Yeah, that's right.
But we finally got around to asking for some artwork, and I will, if I can hit the hide button on that one. There's everybody else. It's a little bit different, a little bit more modern, vibrant. Pick your word. I don't know, but I think it's definitely got a lot more flair.
It's got a lot more color than the last one, that's for sure. So
a lot more color than the last one for sure.
Yeah.
So once again, just Al, thank you so much for the putting in the hard work to get that done for us.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, and that'll be updated on all of our socials soon.
Yep.
Speaking of socials,
yep,
I made a TikTok account.
Fantastic.
I did a You Can't Comp This TikTok account. So for you lovely people listening, get along, check it out, like a few of our videos, and encourage.
What's the address at?
I think you just go You Can't Comp This.
Okay.
One word. I'm pretty sure. I'm terrible with technology. Well, not terrible, but
I was going to say you're not terrible.
Technology is fine. It's the understanding how the socials work. We're at You Can't Comp This. One word.
Great.
So,
all right, let's get to some content. I think we've done enough plugging.
I was going to say it's time for the second ad, isn't it?
Just like
that. We've finished plugging ourselves. We've finished plugging our sponsor. All right, what are we going to do? Let's run an ad.
We're going to be called telemarketers if we keep this up.
They don't call me ads for nothing.
All righty, we're going to talk about hoops. Hoops dropped this week, and I actually think hoops. I'm not ashamed to talk about hoops. I think hoops is a very, very important product. I actually feel as though my warmest childhood card memories are all circling around hoops. And so I think there is a big part for that because the next generation of kids, I would suspect, will start with hoops or they'll start with Don Russ.
Yep.
So, or maybe
Yeah.
even Optic, if that price point sort of keeps coming down a little bit. So, I think it is a really important set. At the
Yeah.
moment, it's retailing for around 250 AUD a box.
Okay.
So, it's not cheap as chips for a hobby box, but at the same time, the price point has definitely come down a lot.
From
And
the crazy period, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
so I think that's nice. I think probably for me, where I sort of start with hoops is the case hit because there's
No.
really, really, really fantastic case hits out of this. And I probably think this is something that I was maybe a little bit neglectful with hoops because I don't want to call it ignorance, but I think I was focused on so many of the other different cards and, looking at the sold prices of just the single, like the rookie cards. And then I probably didn't spend enough time, looking at these cards. So basically, they're dual auto case hits,
Okay.
and basically, what you are looking for or looking at is it's a Ja Morant dual auto. So the checklist also includes Keegan Murray.
Yep.
It includes Chet Holmgren. So they're hoops art signatures checklist. So basically, there's 10. It's a really weird checklist actually because
Mm.
there's 10 cards in the set, but 5 of them are a dual auto. So it's Ja Morant and Polo, Chet Holmgren and Ja Morant and Jabari Smith, Ja
Yep.
Morant and Keegan Murray, and Ja Morant and Jaden Ivey. So I think in terms of curating that list, I think they've done, an absolutely wonderful job. The
Yeah.
only one that I'm a little bit actually kind of iffy on is Keegan Murray because I don't particularly think he's a rookie that's got a lot of flair.
Yep.
And even though, I think he's a wonderful pro and he's going to keep getting better, like I don't have a terrible, problem with it. I probably think
Yeah.
he's the one for me that I'll kind of be like, oh, I'm not too sure if that was like the right call.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think the Ja Morant Polo Benchero is just an absolute, home run of a card. And if I
Yeah.
ever got a card like that, I think that's the type of thing that I would keep. And it's a really funny thing to say because I think you could also say, well, those cards are probably they sell for overs what they are. I'd rather flip that and roll it into something else. But
Yeah.
if you look back through the history of the sold prices on those cards, their prices like they hold really really well. So the other one interesting to talk about too is the Ja Morant, Jaden Ivey because those two there is a lot of parallels to their games. And to be honest, I actually suspect Jaden Ivey's watched a lot of Ja
Mm.
Morant footage. Like there's a lot of Ja Moranty stuff that Jaden does. So I think that's a really cool, interesting card in
It's
itself
an,
too.
yeah, just an interesting,
Yeah.
interesting lot.
So just I found some comps on some of these cards. So the only one that I could find that's currently listed, I couldn't find any sold prices on these, but the Keegan Murray Ja Morant Jewel is currently at $1,025, and that's got 2 days left. So
Wow.
even if it finished at 1,000, I still think that's a really decent return on that card.
Well, current bid of 1,000. What would, and that's 1,000 US,
Yeah.
which is somewhere in the vicinity of like 1,400,
Yeah, I was
1,500
going to say let's
Australian
call it
dollars. Yeah.
1,500. Yeah. So the James Wiseman Steph Curry is currently at $2,800. The only caveat I would put to that is it's got 0 bids on it, so that's like a starting bid. That's what I
That's the
should really
starting
say.
bid. That's
Yeah,
what the
but
that's what the
but
owner of the card
before
would like for
before
it.
we sort of like too much poo poo that the
Yep.
Edwards art card PSA 10 from 2020, so that's at 1,100. That's got 28 bids or something like that on it. That's still got a week to go. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Okay.
the
Okay.
Jalen Green PSA 10, that's
Mm-hmm.
also at $1,000, and that's got 3 days and 16 hours left, or something like that. So these cards do really really well. Um, Maybe the parallel or the closest I can draw another one of these cards to in that same price range is the next day autos. The next day autos have always traditionally done
Yeah,
really well. They're
because
also
the next day autos are on card, aren't they as
they're
well?
on card, yeah, and they have sold really well. And how am I trying to say this? I think it's a good comparison because it's almost a similar price point, and it's a card that everyone really chases, and also they hold their value really well because if you look at the next day autos, even through this period of time where, cards have gone down a lot, there's been some cards that have actually held their values, and the next day autos, are very much like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, I I probably like next day autos better than I like these art cards, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you know, the appeal of Hoops case breaks for me is a real draw card because of that,
Mm.
that one sort of singular card. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, hoops as a set in general is just fun to open because it's the first look at these new
Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
Um, which is
And
I think it's a nice honor for hoops to get the first release of the new wave.
yeah. Yeah. Look, I actually think that Hoops it cops a lot of flack because of how many base cards comes in each packet and each hobby box, and I I get that, I understand that, but I also say at the same time too, I actually think they put a lot of effort into curating this product. Like it's not something they do; they just sort of chuck it out and they don't put any attention to detail or any like thought into it.
Yeah,
I think they put a lot of good work into it. And the 2 points I'd say to that is they put a lot of stats onto the back and they also narrate the cards on the back. And
that's
for
true.
me as a kid, like I vividly remember sitting there and having all my cards in the folders and, flicking through them, reading it. And like for me, those stats were important. And then, going on to the front of the cards, I actually think they put a lot of, good work into, putting designs into them. Like
Yeah,
the rookie inks look fantastic. I'm looking at the hypnotized at the moment. I think they look really good. So
there's actually quite a nice little yeah, the checklist is very nice.
yeah, I think at the price point that you're paying for, the cards,
Yeah,
the
for
number of
hobby.
cards you get back, the
Yeah,
design of the cards, all that stuff, I think it's really good. And I think also, and I'm saying this in a sort of not flippant, but a kind way, but I think if you do give these cards to your kids and they walk around with them in their pockets and they trash them, that's okay. Like at that price point, you can kind of live with that. And they're going to be well loved cards and, they're going to be enjoyed by kids. I think that's
if it's a Jamarant Ivy dual auto, I might be a tiny bit annoyed.
Yeah, I think some of them you should take off your kids. I probably wouldn't give all of them to your kids. But look, even if you got a Steph Curry autograph, which Steph signs or Steph has got stickers in this product, it's they're really quite nice cards. The only other card that I found today when I was prepping for this episode is not my criticism of hoops, but maybe something that I always wanted a little bit of was like a silver out of hoops because I feel like there was never really silvers in hoops. So this year they put a tribute card in, and
Oh, really?
it's not the prism technology, but if you look at the card, it's got a silver, a silver reflection. I think that's the best way to describe it. So yeah, I like that card a lot. I like the tribute cards. I do like that sort of throwback stuff because it does sort of take me back to the day. But again, to put that silverish card in there, it's numbered to 199. That's really cool. So, what's your hoops memories ads? Like, what's your sort of where does hoops take you back to?
Hoops actually takes me back to like my earliest memories as a child. Like
Yeah,
it's what I used to, like. All right, so it's confession time again. And
yeah, go for it.
I've got a fair indication that mum doesn't listen to the pod. So Christmas, I think I was 11. I'm trying to think of the year. Well, say I was 11 or 12. I was
I'm not
young.
going to fact check it, mate. So I'll let you get away with that. Okay.
I may have prematurely opened my Christmas present. So I just remember I think it was 92, 93 hoops. So I would have been 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I carefully undid I don't advocate any children doing this, by the way, but I did. I snuck in and I got through the sticky tape and I pulled the box out of the wrapping
You are
paper.
a naughty boy, Adam.
And I popped the seal and I removed 3 boosters and I opened packs.
Just 3.
Yep, just the top layer. So on Christmas Day, when I ripped it open, you should have seen me how quick I ripped the cellophane off the top. I was like, oh, got to make it look like I've opened and couldn't wait to open a pack. I was so paranoid that mum and dad had watched me open the packs and realised there weren't 30 or 36 packs in there. But yes, one of the first sets I collected, first full set I collected
Yeah,
was
definitely.
hoops. Loved just it was it was fun at that age. That's what I remember. Even when I came back into the hobby, it was hoops.
You
Hoops was
started back with
always
hoops.
the
Yeah. It's
and when I
affordable. Yeah.
with the kids at basketball, it was always what's the affordable price point for the parents. So they do well at training. You give them a pack of basketball cards, you give them a pack of hoops.
Yeah.
Because then everyone can sort of have one. You can. It's not going to blow the coach's budget, so to speak. But yeah, it was very fond
Yeah.
memories. Hoops is that. Who's that? It's that gateway drug, I guess you call it, to
Absolutely.
the cardboard addiction.
Yeah.
And as a
So
child, yeah, I guess the kids these days get to experience the same thing, which
were
is
you a
good.
hoops or an upper deck kid?
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
I was a cardboard crack addict.
Okay.
I did have to go into recovery for a little while as a teenager.
Yeah.
No, it was hoops. I collected all the hoops. Upper Deck seemed like a more insurmountable set. I don't know what it was about the Upper Deck
Because there's a
series.
price
Like
point, or just because?
maybe it was a little bit more exy, wasn't it? I don't know. I can't remember why. I used to have a lot of Upper Deck cards, but I remember checklisting for my hoop set.
Interesting.
It was I can't. Might have been availability. Might have been the local newsagents didn't have enough Upper Deck.
Yeah.
Like it was limited the amount I could get.
It definitely wasn't limited.
At the time, my newsagents, not the actual printing. When I went into the city, I get as many basketball cards as I want, and Upper Deck was everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's when there was actually stores that did the.
Oh, man, we're reminiscing like old men right now.
Well, you asked me to reminisce. I'll be like, I remember this shop used to be here. And...
So I suppose my closing thought for hoops is the red backed cards. There's one red back per box. Sometimes you don't actually always get one in each box, but do keep an eye out for them. I have noticed on eBay at the moment, people are actually, if they're red backs, they're actually putting the first photo as the red backed card. So I think that's really good.
Cool.
In terms of, resale and stuff like that, look, there's nothing in hoops that you're going to particularly make a heap on. And now that we're talking about pricing, this is probably actually worth discussing, because traditionally what will happen is, because what Adam was saying before is 100% correct. It's the first rookie card.
Yeah.
So the sale prices of hoops at the start is actually genuinely quite high. So just to, I suppose, set some expectation of, if you are looking, you're new to the game, you're looking to sort of buy and sell a little bit, don't buy hoops now on the aftermarket sale with the idea that it's going to keep going up after this. Generally what will happen is it will actually go down.
Mm-hmm.
My only thought or concern at the moment is there's been such a long time between products. I actually wonder if this year's is going to be like doubly as crazy. And maybe
How so?
well, I think people have been really hanging out for it. I think Hoops is going to be like well received this year. And the reason why I say this is because, again, like because of the art card that we're just having a chat about, but also too, like it just seems like it's always been like 12 months or 15 or 16 months between Hoops products.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And
actually crazy.
We've been watching these guys now for, nearly half a season, and this is the first card that's come out. So I just really think people are going to be chomping at the bit for this product. And and again, everything that I've seen from it, they've done a really good job with it. So
I love it. I think it's going to be, I don't know. It seems like it's going to be a good year. My only gripe, obviously, is we're in January and we've got Hoops. Hoops should be an October product.
It definitely should be, but their print schedule is so far behind. Yeah,
I get it. I get it. And look, I guess the hope is that with the reins being taken by Fanatics, that somehow they sort of correct the release schedule a little bit. But
I don't think that's going to be the case. I actually think that that's almost something that's out of their control, and to a degree out of Panini's control.
Yeah.
And over the next, I would say 3 years, that will correct. I don't think they can just get a quick fix on that. And also too, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense to release everything week after week, because then essentially I don't think that Panini or Fanatics would yield the highest amount that they could on their return from that. So I actually don't think it's in their own best interest to push everything. I think they'll design some type of staggered release schedule, but maybe squash it up a little bit. Because
Yeah, it's a tough one.
yeah,
It is. It's a very very tough one.
I just want to change our run sheet up a little bit, and I want to talk about Immaculate first off the line because that just closed on the Dutch auction just recently.
That's correct. Yeah,
And the reason why I want to tie this in now is because you're talking about that it's fun, and I actually agree with that. I think the hobby at the moment, a lot of people, I think, will be disagreeing with what I'm about to say, but sort of hear me out a little bit. I think it's more fun at the moment because everything's a lot more affordable. Like if you're
Oh, I
if you're
like
buying,
that angle.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if you're buying into breaks at the moment, I think your cash goes a lot further. And a good example of that is, $250 a box for hoops. That will break quite nicely.
Mm.
So another example of that, and 100% credit to Scott Brand on this. He basically helped me out and told me this. So Immaculate first off the line closed this year at $1,833 a box. That's a lot of money. I'm not twisting that two different ways. But if you comp that to last year where it closed at $3,125, when last year there was a lot of sort of rumblings that, the rookie class wasn't that good and, blah, 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 blah. And I think this year the rookie class is better, and I would argue that it's also deeper.
Yep.
For it to close at $1,400 less, I think that actually gives a really good example of where the hobby is currently sitting at the moment in terms of people buying into it. And I think when prices started at 1,833, the trickle down effect of that is real. So I think that consumers are going to feel the prices on iMac this year is going to be a lot better.
It's nice. It's
And
interesting.
I personally hope that. Like, I know I have a vested interest, as a breaker and all the rest of it. But to be
Yeah,
honest,
for sure.
my gut feeling about all this is like it's so much nicer to buy into a box break at 1.8 instead of 3.1. Like for me, it's as simple as that. Like that's easy maths, So
it's not rocket science. That's for
yeah,
sure.
no, it's definitely not. What's your thoughts on iMac closing at 1,833?
I think it's a sign of the market correction. It's not all right. I suppose I should phrase that a little bit different, but
No, I mean
it
that's
seems
fine.
like that's where the market's starting to. We're starting to see where the new floor and ceiling are.
Yeah.
Now, does this mean that? And I've got a gut feeling that we'll call them the COVID collectors. Do we want to call them the COVID collectors? The ones that sort of jumped in and bought everything out. I don't want to call them investors because there are people that invest that are still in the hobby, but like we'll call them the day traders in investment terms, right? They're out of here. They've got their hobbies back. They've got their other interests. The world is opening up again, and they weren't in it for the long haul. They were the COVID. That was a wave, funnily enough, using COVID terms, I guess, but a wave of investors that come in, bought a bunch of stuff, and prices went through the roof because they wanted to buy everything. When people want to buy everything, it puts pressure on.
Yeah.
Now we're left with less of those people.
Can we call them short-term collectors?
Short-term collectors? I like that. I don't want to look on favorably because they did kind of torch our hobby for a bit. But
I mean, you can look at it like two ways though. Like I think to be fair, like they actually brought a lot of excitement to the hobby, and they brought a lot of energy to the hobby. And
it's true. That's true.
And
no,
also
yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I feel like you also kind of have it both ways because then we also sold stuff to these people that came in, and do you know what I mean? And
I completely I like the supply demand facet of our hobby. I don't like the low end being impacted by it. You know what I'm talking about? We're just talking about hoops being affordable.
Yeah,
it should always be affordable.
It ties in really well to this whole argument.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, hoops should always be affordable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you got some bored millionaire that's buying out all the iMac, all the Flawless, all the NT, good on him, right? Makes the high end higher.
Yeah.
But don't mess with the lower stuff. Don't mess with the hoops. You know what I mean?
I mean, who knows?
Don't deny a 10-year-old child from opening his Christmas present prematurely.
That's right.
And sneaking a couple of boosters.
Who knows? all of the truth about the mechanics and, where all the
Yeah.
products went to. Like my
Yeah.
tinfoil conspiracy wearing hat, and I'm sticking with this theory, is that large companies, investment groups bought up a heap of sealed product
Mm-hmm.
that who knows where it's sitting in some vault or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
I still believe that because I really find it hard to believe that all of the product was bought up, because there was a period of time where I knew it. I had money. I couldn't buy a case. I couldn't buy a half case. You know what I mean? Like, where
That's
did all that
crazy,
product
isn't it?
go? And look, maybe also two resellers held onto it because their theory was, if I sell it this week, it's going to be worth 10% more next week. So I've actually
Yeah.
just lost 10% by selling to you today. Like, who knows?
It's nuts. It's
But yeah,
actually crazy. I'm glad we're sort of past that
yeah,
thing. And going back to what I was saying, and I mean, I did get a bit carried away with the COVID wave and crazy and all the rest of it. But now everything's settled. We're good.
yeah,
Like we're in this nice space where things are affordable, where people are having fun, like being able to jump into breaks and buy product.
mm,
Yeah, sure. We're not getting 25x for the card that we've had stashed away,
yeah,
and we're making like a small markup on things
mm,
in the secondary market, but or losing a couple of dollars if we need quick capital.
yeah,
But cards are stabilizing as far as trending goes.
yeah.
They're not tanking. They're not in the basement. We've found the floor again.
So stick with that smaller margin thought for a second, because the other reason why I wanted to call it short-term collectors is because I also think there was short-term breakers.
Oh
And
wow.
so my current observation is this, right? That a lot of breakers are dropping off.
Yeah.
And I actually wonder, or my theories is because the margins just aren't there anymore.
Yep.
And it's really hard to fill breaks at the moment too. So, and I'm not wishing unwell onto people or hoping that they lost money. Like, that's not what I'm saying here. It's just my observation is that I think there's a lot lesser margins in for people. So the people that are
Yep.
going to be sticking around are either going to be one of two things. I think people that have built up some type of, they've been putting money away, they've put a bit of equity away, or they've been putting stock away for a while.
Yep.
Or the people that, whether they're making $10 a break or whether they're making $100 a break, they're going to keep on breaking because like that's just how they roll. They've been doing it for 10 years, 5 years, whatever.
Keep on trucking.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
And then this is what I do. Monday nights is my break night. Tuesday nights is my packing night, whatever.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
that's my sort of feeling now. And so
Mm.
people who are becoming new breakers now, I think they're going to be like the next kind of 2 or 3 year or 5 year breakers that this is going to be the new normal for them, like the current pricing. So I think that's also interesting too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's a brave new world, and
I'm excited and I'm glad I'm here, to be honest. Like for me, buying to breaks at the moment is awesome. Like I really feel like my dollars are just going a lot further. So, I'm happy about that.
It just feels like it's less scary to dip your feet in the hobby.
Yeah.
How's that? Like it's not as daunting.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'd really like to get a box of that,
Mm.
but I don't have a lazy $900 for something that used to cost $200.
This is the perfect segue. So thank you so much, EJ Cards, for being our sponsor. You've been a long-term sponsor to us. So this week, instead of running the ad, I've gone onto their website and I found 2 products that I think you might enjoy.
I hope you're not going to go the way I think you're going to go, because I said buying something for $900 you used to get for $200. EJ are the ones that sell it for $200, right?
The first product that I found on their website, which I thought was a pretty good price, is Select H2 at $399 Australian dollars.
Ooh.
So H2 is a hybrid box. I think it's kind of like cheating. Instead of calling it fast break, they're just calling it H2. The selling points of these card is numbered cards. So you can get 49s, you can get 5, you can get 1 of 1. We hit a 1 of 1 in our break, which was a Josh Primo rookie 1 of 1. So whether you think that's a good card or not
even getting started on
yeah.
Are they allegations still, is my question.
I believe so.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. And not that we want to talk about Josh Primo, but it looks like he's going to beat the Chargers too. So the pull of these cards, though, is that you can also get RPAs in them. You don't get an RPA in every box. It's about 1 in every 2 or 3 boxes. So
Wow.
Ideally, you would go to a place and you would buy it over the counter and pick your box so that you can not, you would at least be confident that the boxes haven't been mined. That will be one small thing I would say.
Yep.
The other thing I found, which is non-NBA, but for me it's a little bit topical, EJ Cards have also got a Pokemon mystery box for $80. It's
Come
absolutely
on.
it's absolutely loaded. So you get either a raw or a graded card. You get 2 booster packs and you get some penny sleeves in there too. So I think for
Nice.
$80, I saw a couple of these get opened at the Traders Day there. They look pretty good.
I can't comment. I don't understand Pokemon cards.
You don't have to.
I've seen enough of them. They're very shiny.
They look pretty.
They do.
Yep.
They do. And they get graded a lot. A lot of people grade Pokemon.
they do get graded a lot. Let's change up the run sheet again. Let's talk about PSA grading.
Nice.
The numbers for December 2022. The most graded category was number 1, Pokemon.
Aha. Aha.
Number 2 was baseball. Number 3, basketball. Number 4, football. 5, hockey. 6, non-sports. 7, soccer. 8, Yu-Gi-Oh! 9, boxing, wrestling, MMA, and 10, emerging sports. So,
my question to you:
talk to me.
all these short-term collectors that were in basketball, do you reckon they've gone to Pokemon?
I actually think Pokemon is more popular than basketball cards, and
I agree.
it has a very, very strong underground following, and it actually is very collectible by children, but there's also a very large population of teenagers, 20s, 30s, and, I'm going to say older guys like you and me. I'm talking about, 40s, 50s, 60s that collect Pokemon. So
Yep.
they've
And
got
I know,
Pokemon nailed.
I know. Yeah, Pokemon sort of.
It's just a machine.
It's a beautiful. I don't know. They just hit the right chords. They got people in the 90s when they started.
It's got a TV show. It's got a game. It's got a video game. It's got all this stuff.
Yeah. So
anyway, what's your thoughts about this list though? Because I did want to ask you a couple of questions about it. Are you surprised to see basketball at 3?
No, I would.
Okay, why? Why are you not surprised?
Well, I collect basketball. I think the only real trading cards are basketball trading cards. Like I understand Pokemon,
but wouldn't you have thought that would be top or at least second on the list for?
Well, I'm most shocked by baseball being number 2.
Yeah,
right. I thought December 2022, maybe football would get there because of the World Cup. That's it. That's the only thing I could think of. Oh, sorry, football being soccer.
Yeah. I know what you meant.
Different. But Pokemon being number 1 doesn't surprise me. Basketball being 3, yeah, I guess. But baseball being the one that was number 2 was bizarre.
So I have 2 thoughts about this, and we've already spoken about it a little bit, the slowdown. So I think everyone knows basketball is slowing down at the moment. So I think not as many people are sending in cards. So that's that's the first part. The second part is PSA prices have come a lot down. And I think this is important because Pokemon is the classic example, right? You're not going to spend $100 or $150 or at whatever point they were at $500 a card to get graded, because you'll never ever get your money back when you resell that Pokemon card. So if you're grading a Pokemon card for $35, which is $37, I think is what Khalil at slabbed.com is charging for his.
Yeah.
It makes all the sense in the world to send in your Pokemon for $37. That's fine. Like that's logical. But, to do it before. So I wonder if there was a whole heap of baseball cards and Pokemon cards that people just had in boxes, ready to go once the prices come down. So
so you reckon there's a correlation between what was graded because of okay.
Well, because with basketball, you could spend $100 and still get your money back, right? In fact, it might even make the card go up $300, so that sort of did make sense in terms of doing basketball because there was that money there. But that's my theory on that. And it still does surprise me though. It's a really good reality check, I think, for me, though, just to remind myself things are slowing down in basketball. Things are slowing down, So when I see stuff like this, I'm like,
people are being. I think slowing down might be based on the numbers. I don't think anything's slowing down. Like they're grading 1 million cards a month. It's insane. I think basketball collectors are being more selective with what they get graded because of the costs. I think that's been like over the last 6 months, though.
But to be outpaced by baseball and Pokemon, I think that does say something.
Is baseball because of the prospecting factor? Because you were saying that with baseball, they prospect. It's crazy. The amount of people
Yeah,
that don't see the light of day.
yeah, definitely
But
right. But
as soon as the bulk price came down, baseball, they were like, here's all the stuff we're prospecting on. Blech.
yeah,
Here it is. Whereas basketball, I guess, would sort of, I mean, I'm just looking through the
but
by the numbers.
this is not normal though, right? Because you could say the same thing about basketball. People love to get basketball cards graded, for a flip.
Yeah, true, true.
And also too, if you think about it, like
Mm.
what really drove flipping cards through COVID or pre-COVID, to be fair,
Mm,
was people were sending them into PSA, getting them back, and then selling them. So the play is there to do that. It's $37 a card. Like there's room to do that. So this
true.
is why I'm kind of a bit like, oh, seeing basketball at 3, like
Yeah. Now,
it's
look, I mean, these are
for me,
predominantly
it's tough to
American.
see that.
It's American, like the company's American. I'm surprised to see football at 4 because I actually thought football cards were bigger than baseball cards. I'm not sure where the other two sports go.
Mm. I think
I
baseball is
know
bigger than football.
football's got starting to get more of a global reach.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like there's
It's
more. I
definitely
know
picked
more
up.
people in Australia that are watching their weekly NFL games, but I don't see people watching MLB games if that makes sense.
Mm.
And this is obviously from a different
No, I
country,
think
so
that is
where
absolutely the case. I think the viewership of baseball is getting lower and lower because of how long the games are. Like people don't have
yeah,
the time
yeah,
and or the attention span to watch it.
and
And I think baseball is acutely aware of that.
this is one of our classic. We probably need to do a little bit more homework, but my assumption would be that basketball of those three sports is the most watched globally.
Globally, 100%. Yeah, but
There's like basketball is a bigger sport on
in
a
America,
global
more
level.
people watch football games, like the viewer numbers of football games. I wonder if cumulatively though NBA is higher just because there's like
Yeah,
4 times more games,
I mean
in a season.
we're in Australia talking about the NBA, right?
Yeah,
Like or NBA cards.
yeah,
So it shows the global reach
yeah, yeah, definitely.
versus like there's not as much of a following group. I mean, they are starting to show up in shops now of baseball and football, but nowhere near in comparison to the amount of basketball.
No, no
So
way. Yeah.
yeah, I it's interesting. I thought football would be the one at number 2, and that baseball would be the number one, the one at number 4.
Well, the thing about NFL though is so I have a very, very small knowledge of NFL. So I'm going to preface this, but in saying that, I have gone into a couple of NFL breaks. The thing that shocked me was the price, the buy-in. Like
Okay.
NFL at one point was not that far behind for a Prism hobby box. Wasn't that far behind an NBA hobby box, and the
Oh wow,
return on NFL is like,
it's just as trashy as
except for a couple of cards, it's a lot worse than NBA. So do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
the buy-in and the return. So for me
Okay.
to see NFL that high up the list, I'm actually like, to be honest, like a little bit surprised. I would have thought it'd be
Hmm.
lower down. Yeah. Anyway, alrighty, All-Star weekend. Let's talk about the All-Star voting. So Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell is the 1-2 guards in the East. In the front court, we've got Kevin Durant, Giannis, and we've got Jason Tatum.
Yes, leading the way. Any
Durant
notables?
Durant won't be playing, so
Yeah, he's out for a while, isn't he?
yeah, Embiid will be the starting center for the East.
Yeah.
In the West, we've got Steph Curry and Luka, and then in the front court, we've got LeBron, Joker, and Anthony Davis. I'm frankly outraged that Anthony Davis has
I can
been.
tell you, Anthony Davis won't be playing in the All Star game. Well, he's not back on the court yet. You're outraged that Anthony Davis is in the voting, and
The West
Anthony Day
voting,
to Davis.
the West voting to me is frankly bizarre. So Zion is fourth,
Yep.
and
So
then
Zion
Wiggins
will
is,
make his first All Star.
yeah, if he's healthy, he should.
Yeah.
Then Wiggins is at 5, but he's missed more than half of the season.
But this is the this is the votes. This is the
Yeah, it's a fan vote, but at the same time, it's like, I know it's ridiculous every year, so I shouldn't be outraged, but I'm still like, what is going on? Paul George
Do
is
you
at
remember
6.
when Alex Caruso and Taco Fall were on the verge of being All Stars?
I mean, Taco Fall is such a freakish guy to look at. Actually, I'm not outraged by that. This is the one where I am a bit outraged by is Laurie Markin at 7. I genuinely think he should be above
Paul
Wiggins.
George, Wiggins. Yeah.
Well, Paul
Man.
George actually has been pretty sneaky good this year.
Yeah,
He should be above Anthony Davis. I don't think that's like,
that's nothing. Yeah.
And then if I'm really like,
Can I say though, Anthony Davis, while he was on the court, was an absolute beast this year.
yeah, but man, you got to play basketball. You don't
But
get points for
you don't
sitting on
get
the
a name
bench.
like Day to Davis by playing basketball, all right? Oh boy.
So tell me your All-Star team, Ad. What should it be?
Oh look, we start off with Anthony Davis, LeBron James in the. I'm joking.
And Austin Reeves.
And Austin Reeves, Russell Westbrook, and just there we go.
That's your starting five. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
just
go.
the Lakers 5. There we go. That's the West. My vote. I haven't actually done my votes yet, so I might actually
Vote.
log on.
Come on, Ad. Vote now.
I'm gonna log on. Why don't you tell everybody your start, and
Sure.
I'm gonna go in and do my All Star votes. Vote now. I'll
Right.
get to the bit on the app while you.
So in the East, I'm going to go Donovan Mitchell and Jaylen Brown. So that means I'm essentially leaving out Kyrie Irving and James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Mitchell has been frankly dynamic, and I think it's only one game, but 71 points. You really can't skim over that. And if I am discriminating or holding it against everybody, it's probably Kyrie, because Kyrie's been pretty good this year. He's been on his best behavior. The Nets have been playing good basketball for 60% of this season. They started off, pretty poorly.
Pretty poor.
But I'm not going to lie to you. I've got a hangover from Kyrie from the last couple of years. Like the rubbish that he pulled the last couple of years, I can't give that guy a vote. James Harden's been injured for me. So for me, Jaylen Brown was the easy choice. And Boston's been the best team. He plays two ends of the court, and I give extra points for that. So that's my guards in the East. The front court, I had to vote Tatum. I'm surprised that Tatum hasn't got significantly more votes. Like he's 1,300,000 votes behind Durant. Like that to me is absolutely shocking.
Come on, people in Boston, lift your game.
I think Tatum should be the captain of the East team. If
He's not going to be. It's unfortunate. It is a popularity contest, though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is my popularity vote, I suppose. Durant's out, so I won't give him a vote, but I would have voted him in. And then it's sort of between like Giannis and Embiid, doesn't it? It comes down to that. So if I had to choose between those two, I'd probably go for Giannis, or would I go for Embiid? It's so close, isn't it? Okay, I'll go for Embiid. So my vote would have been Embiid, Tatum, and Durant, but Durant's out, so then Giannis is my pick. In the West, Steph Curry and Luka, I've got no problems with that. I know Steph's missed a lot of time, but it's Steph Curry, and I've got no problems. I know you're supposed to vote for this season,
like
but
2.5 million back is Jar in third.
Yeah, look, I mean, Jar's missed time.
SGA is fourth, FYI, in the voting there for the guards.
So my three front court people is Nikola Jokic, Zion Williamson, and I'm going for Lauri Markkanen. I think Markkanen has been an all-star this year. I don't think if he doesn't make the all-star team this year, I actually think that's like a travesty. He's been absolutely fantastic.
I think between the media and the coaches vote, because the coaches vote for the bench, isn't that right?
Yeah, so they get a weighted vote, and I think the coaches vote is like 60%, and then the fans vote is worth 40%. So
yeah, and then there's the other rigged bit where they try and not show how all of a sudden, because when the year Caruso got it, it was like, oh my god, Alex Caruso is going to be the starting guard or something, and it was and all of a sudden with the coaching votes and everything, it got dropped back.
It is weighted, so that they do weighted, get more. All right, Ad, what do you got for me?
All right, so for those playing at home, just to give you an idea, I've got the app. I've got it open. We've got a nice little basketball court, East versus East and West. So we're going to go with the East first. We're going to go the guards in the East.
Yep.
I'm glad they've sort of put the leading vote getters, like, because it's all based on points. LaMelo Ball, interesting. Zach LaVine, he was really no. Look, I'm not a fan of Kyrie. I don't know if anyone's also heard. I'm also not the biggest fan of Donovan Mitchell. So I'm going to go Jaylen Brown.
Yep, that's fine.
There we go. Vote. And my guards will consist of... We've got Jaylen Brown, and I'm definitely not a Harden fan, which is funny because he's next to Mitchell. But I'm also going to vote for Trae Young in the East.
Okay.
I was tempted to put Haliburton, funnily enough, who's someone we shall discuss, I'm sure.
You sure you don't want to pick Haliburton instead of Trae Young?
Let's pick Haliburton.
Like, if you're choosing...
I'm impressed with Haliburton.
If you're eliminating out Donovan Mitchell, I think...
That's true. We've got Haliburton and Brown are the guards. I guess we'll go over to the West because they're going to be easy. Western Conference, Austin Reeves and De'Aaron Fox. Oh, no, I'm not going to...
For a second, I actually thought you were going to do that.
Russell Westbrook and Austin Reeves. That's a joke as well. I'm going to vote Ja Morant, but I don't know who to pick out of Luka and Steph.
If you're going for minutes played and games played, you could...
Luka.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go. Done. I think Morant, I really like to watch Ja play.
Yeah.
And look, as much as I love Steph Curry, I think he'll get in no matter what.
Yeah.
I actually think Ja will get in no matter what as well. Into the East. Let's go. Let's make this easy. Giannis. Because I like Giannis. I don't like KD. I do like Tatum. So Tatum, yes, feel bad voting for 2 Celtics, I think I've put in.
Me too.
They
deserve it. I got no problem with that at all.
And I can't not vote for well, I can actually. I can not vote for whoever I like.
Absolutely. This is your segment, Ad.
This is the spotlight's on me here.
It is. It's 100% on you. Everyone's listening to you.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with my heart on this one, and I am going to put my my last vote is I'd like to see Julius Randle out there as the other big.
Okay, cool.
All right. That's the East. On to the West. Last 3. I'm not voting for Anthony Davis. The Joker. Joker is definitely going to be my starting big. I think LeBron's got enough votes, so I'm not going to bother voting for him. I'd like to see Zion.
Pick who you want.
I'd like to see Zion now.
So you use the votes to help choose your pick?
No, LeBron always gets the leading votes. Like, he's always the leading vote getter. Like, I've seen enough LeBron. Haven't we all seen enough LeBron?
I didn't vote for him, but at the same time, I still want to see him in the All-Star game. Like, I've got nothing against him being there, I think.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we don't vote for LeBron, there's no way he doesn't get in and the highest vote getter.
Yeah.
He's at almost 5 million votes after the second round of returns.
Yeah, that's right.
Look, I think Jokic is probably the most deserving, and he's
Absolutely.
the second vote getter.
Yep.
Zion, geez, he's surprised a lot of people. You've already picked Markkanen, so he's got enough votes from us. Who's a surprise packet in the West? There's no... maybe I'll just vote for someone that's not on... All right, this is taking too long. I am going to vote LeBron. Nah, we're going to give it... We're both giving it to Lowry.
Great.
Markkanen. All right. Review and submit. No, I'll just submit it. Where's the thing? I've done it.
Good job, mate.
I can vote again in 24 hours.
Alrighty. I think we should talk a couple of people who are going to be in the All-Star game and go through some of their comps and some of their cards. How does that sound to you, mate? So
you what? Let's match them up. Let's do some actual card discussion.
Let's do Kyrie versus KD first.
Kyrie versus KD. They are the top vote getters for their front court and guard section in the East. Amazing what a few good games from the Brooklyn Nets will do, hey?
I mean, they're in a very, populous part of the world. I think that's part of it too. Like, it's like the New York / Brooklyn spotlight, the LA spotlight. Like, it's...
I feel like Brooklyn have actually stolen the spotlight, so to speak, out of New York, away from New York. Because the Knicks aren't talked about anymore.
Well, yeah.
Kevin Durant
consists of Julius Randle and, Brunson.
I voted for Julius Randle.
Or you can talk about Kyrie and KD. I mean, I kind of know who I'd probably talk about more. And okay, anyway. So Kyrie, 2012 Prism Silver PSA 10. Last sold for 1586.
All right.
In the last 3 months, that's down 8%.
Down 8%. Right. All right. What? Oh, I'm looking at... Oh, there we go. PSA 10. Down 8%. What about the base? Well, do you not want to know about the base either?
I'm happy to talk about base.
Down
Particularly
almost 40%.
Mm.
Wow. So this is the lead vote getter. The leading vote getter, Silver Prism.
So when Kyrie was pulling all of his COVID shenanigans, his prices were down like
Dramatically.
a lot. Like they plummeted.
And my question with regards to, I suppose, Kyrie is, man, I tell you what, if Card Ladder had give us a premium account, we could look back to when it was COVID and look at this rookie card. But yeah, look, I think Kyrie's in an interesting spot. He's a great basketball player, but his mouth gets him into trouble, and I just don't. I think that really taints his collectability. I don't know.
Well, I'm sort of in two minds about that, to be honest, because if you think about it, he's like very, very popular. Obviously,
Look at the votes.
yeah. And so I do wonder if a little bit, like it's sort of the Frugia factor, isn't it?
Is it infamous? Any kind of publicity, no matter how,
I think so.
gets in the spotlight. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think so. I think that, yeah. I don't really see that this is going to negatively affect his hobby value if he's been voted in as a starter, right? I think if anything, it's probably going to help it. So
Interesting.
looking at his PSA 10 bases, so I've just gone on to 130 point. I've gone back to November
Yeah.
22. So that's, I suppose it's not really that much longer than the 3 months it's on Card Ladder, is it? It's about the same.
It's about the same.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he's down. I actually thought that, particularly after how much he dipped sort of in the last 12 months, that he would have been like recovering. My only thought about that is, had people been sort of holding on to he was a bit more popular and, unloading at sort of a more opportune time,
Yeah, does well. That's the other question, right? Is the All-Star voting something that actually changes a player's value? I don't think the voting
triggers people to unload.
Yeah.
I think to a degree, yes. So my thing about Kyrie, though, is if you think about his resume, he's a champion. He's been a multiple-time All-Star. He's obviously very popular. Like, he sold the most amount of jerseys, not just over 1 year. He's done it on, more than 1 year. He's leading, the guards in voting. Like, at 1,500, do you consider this a buy or a hold or a sell? Like, if you're thinking as a long-term purchase, where do you sit on that?
At this current price point?
Yeah.
I mean, for a long-term hold, if I've got it, I'm holding it, but I'm not overly tempted to buy it.
Yeah. That's a fair answer.
Yeah. And look, varying grades and things, so it is from a tricky year as well. So, look, it might go up. I mean, if Kyrie just plays out the rest of his career, but I think, honestly, we've seen the ceiling from Kyrie.
There's not a lot of these either.
No, pop count's 26 on the PSA 10, isn't it? Yeah.
On the silver.
That's interesting.
And on the base, there's 920, which, compared to today's standards, it's
okay. And this is an interesting way because we'll go and comp with our teammate in the I'm just looking at numbers. KD's not much better.
So with the KD though, there's a lot of different variants on this. So which one did you want to do, mate?
Oh, the Topps Chrome.
2 Topps Chrome. So 2007 Topps Chrome.
Yep.
Cool.
I think the Topps Chrome is a good. That's the pre-prism.
Sure. So we'll do the refractor
or the post. Yeah.
To 1,499. Is that the plan?
Yeah, we can do the refractor. We can do the base.
All right.
Then we do the refractor as the silver, right?
Sure.
Yep. All right. So PSA 10 last sold for $6,500, which is down 13%.
So if you comp that to Kyrie, that's what, nearly 3 and a bit times more expensive.
Yeah. No, it's 5x. Is it? Was he 1,000 or was he 1,500? So it's 4x, 4 and a bit.
Yeah, 4.33. You're right. My mistake. Yep.
All right, now I'll put something to you. The BGS 9.5 is down 2,193. It's actually down 50%. Right. My question to you, at 2,200 US, is a BGS 9.5 KD rookie, a refractor, a buy?
So let's have a pragmatic conversation about this, right? If you're buying a 9.5, you're buying a 9.5 to cross it over to PSA 10. And the
Yes.
risk is,
That it gets a 9.
yeah. But if you look at the sold prices on a PSA 9, they're selling for 4,100. So actually,
Okay. And if it gets an 8, then you break even. You lose $100 plus your crossover money.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's going to get an 8.
I mean, it could.
That's crazy.
Look, you can't make assumptions, but I think if you're planning to get a 9.5 to turn into a 10, like, that's not guaranteed. But okay, well, I mean, that's an interesting conversation, isn't it?
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
But in comparison to Kyrie, though, you can see that KD, even though I say his legacy's been tainted in the way he's moved around and sort of tried to make a name for himself after he.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't know. No, I just think it could have been there could have been less narrative, but I think he forced the narrative with the way he did things. Anyway, that's
So let's recap though, because he went to OKC and he was stuck with Westbrook essentially. Like Harden forced his way out, so you can't even really talk about.
Sure.
Like they weren't really a big three at that point. Harden was coming off the bench essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look back and you're being reasonable, you could actually say, well, I didn't want to play with Russell Westbrook, and I've got no problems if that's why he left. And they had beef. So it's possible.
Sure.
It's possible there was some bad blood between them, right? So the real criticism of Kevin Durant is that he joined a team that was 73-9.
73-9. Yeah.
That's that's the criticism, isn't it? But I think for him to
he
then
rode
win
coattails to get his championship. That's pretty much it, right?
Well, my recollection was without KD scoring, they wouldn't have won at least one of those championships, if not both. Like he was more than an essential part to them winning 2 championships, and also too for me the part that I think
he wasn't a tag along.
But I think the part to that's a little bit overlooked by this, and I if people criticize my opinion on this, I've got no problem with it. But he actually fit in with that team, and I think, despite his beef with Draymond,
I think he fit. You're right. He fit in the team, but he didn't realize what his place in that team was.
I actually think that didn't get enough.
It was never going to be his team. It was always Steph's team.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think even if KD was the highest scorer, I still think it was Steph's team. I actually think Steph is one of the best leaders of our generation. So, that part of it. But what my point is, though, is that I don't think that he got enough credit for fitting into that team the way that he did, because I don't think that any or every superstar could have done that. And I think that the way it ended with Draymond, but again, I would probably put more of that into Draymond, to be honest, than KD. Anyway, look, maybe I'm sending off as too much of a KD sympathizer. And I would say then him going to Brooklyn to start his own team, I don't have a problem with that. Like, I think that's a really, and he read the market well, and he chose a place that he thought, could work. And then they had a good front office. They had a good coach at the time. Obviously, they were spending money, and then they put players around him. I've got no problem with him doing that. So I actually think he cops too much criticism. And so, look, the really interesting thing, though, is that we've just identified that this card is significantly more than Kyrie. So that actually gives you a little bit of context, I suppose.
Yeah.
Actually, is the Kyrie undervalued? And then the thing that
there's a question there about Kyrie. There's questions about Kyrie and there's questions about KD.
Yeah, definitely.
They've both had questionable pasts. Let's say that. Let's agree that they haven't had the smoothest of career trajectories, especially and hobby trajectory as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a glaring discrepancy price wise.
Huge. So does that mean that Kyrie's undervalued?
Kyrie's undervalued.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Like, I think Kyrie will end up in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
I think he will one day. I don't know if he'll be first ballot, but I don't know.
That's actually a really good NBA related debate, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's like collector wise, I can't remember. I think we've had this discussion multiple times with other guests and things, but it's hard to be valuable in the hobby when you're a number 2. And the reality is Kyrie is the number 2 to KD here.
And Durant. I mean,
in the
and
on the team
LeBron
on the team.
when he
Yeah.
won his
So
chip too. Yeah.
correct. Like Kyrie is a talented basketballer, but
Yeah.
he's never going to be the number one
Yeah. Interesting.
because he wanted to be the number one in Boston, and they all kind of laughed at him. He was good in Boston, but he wasn't the number one.
Yeah. Interesting.
He doesn't have that. He's never going to be Batman. He'll always be Robin. He's a very very good counterpart for whoever the Cape Crusader is.
Yeah.
But he won't be the main guy. And I think he's been going quite well with KD.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
I think the price point. I think the price point is, as far as like Kyrie being undervalued, I think he's fairly valued because for a sidekick, he's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's not Jordan Poole $1,000. He's value $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm fine with that.
Cool.
And I think your find of the 9.5 BGS too, that's actually, if there's any big ballers in this group and this podcast who's listening to us and actually go out and buy a 9.5 and crack it and send it to PSA, can you please let us know? Because
I would love to see that.
I tell
you what, if I had that kind of money on me, I would try and find one now.
That is definitely outside of my collectible sort of price range, but at the same time, if you're a big baller and you have the nose for risk, that's actually.
I'd also look at the subgrades.
Delicious.
And if you get 9.5,
yeah, you need to look at the subgrades.
You need to have all 4 on 9.5s to get a 10 from PSA. Because the one on the picture here is centering 10, corners 9.5, surface 9.5, edges 9.
Yeah.
So I'd worry about sending that to PSA.
Yeah.
But if you go 10 or 9.5s across the board, bang, re-slab that, have a crack.
It says a lot about what's happening with BGS at the moment, though. Honestly, like it's yeah.
I think that that'd be a great little research piece.
So, I reckon we finish on this next comp because we're already up to an hour and 10 minutes. So
cool. See, and you thought it was going to be a short show.
I know. Look at us.
All right, Austin Reeves versus Nick Claxton. Well, that's not the comp we want to go with.
I think we can do a.
You do better than that.
I think so.
All right, let's go with Haliburton versus Melo.
Yeah. So the reason why I like this is because it's the ultimate substance versus hype, and hype being LaMelo and substance being Haliburton. And
I'm glad you clarified.
I really liked to watch LaMelo last year in the All-Star game. There was like a 5 or 7 minute stretch where it was like the best 4 players on the court plus LaMelo, and he was just out there facilitating and playmaking. And look, I thought he fit in with the the players,
the big dogs. I think he did. He had some fun, and it was good to watch.
But what if you then put the 4 best players on the team plus Haliburton on there, and you had, frankly, a more cerebral point guard, someone who's a better shooter, who's a better decision maker, not as much foot speed, but will still be able to create and do things for the rest of his team. What if that happened? Because I think there's a real possibility that Haliburton gets named to the All-Star team this year and Ball doesn't. So I'd like to do
I don't think Ball's playing another the All-Star game this year.
Look, but he might. Depends how many injuries there are, right? Like I think LaMelo Ball's the type of guy that would get named.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Oh, awesome! So Haliburton is in card letter. I wasn't 100% sure he was.
I've got him. I've got him.
The only thing is there's no PSA number, so let's just do raw just to keep it.
I've got PSA numbers.
Oh, yep. Sorry, you do too. All right, let's do silver. Great. Do you want to do
I'm very interested. Interesting numbers here with PSA 10s.
Do you want to do Haliburton first, mate, or LaMelo?
Yeah, Haliburton is down 5%, but I think it's like a $20 change over the last 3 months. I don't think that's really much to worry about. But last sold for $3.99 US. $3.99. No, it was $399 the last sale.
So my initial impression on that is that that's a very solid price for a prospect that is not in a big market, and B also didn't come from somewhere that was like a big market. Do you know? So I'm actually surprised he's this high. In saying that, I still think this is a buy because I think his ceiling is very, very good. And if he is not an NBA champion at some point in his career, I will be absolutely shocked because either he'll be poached by a very good team that needs just, one last piece to put them over the top.
Or it'll bring success to Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, if everything falls into, the perfect place, they have Mathurin,
They have a very good foundation
they
there.
have Haliburton, and then they get this wonder kid out of the next draft. Like that would
Well,
be.
yeah, because that it doesn't seem that Turner's happy where in Indiana, so there's going to be some shaking up in the roster.
It's funny you say that because I think the Turner story's done like a full circle because now that Sabonis is gone,
is he actually happy? Because he got these cryptic tweets.
Well, no, he went onto a podcast and said he wanted to be traded. But I actually wonder if now that they've sort of reorganized their roster and he is,
yeah,
no one's competing really with him for the starting center minutes.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, let's talk about LaMelo Ball.
All right. I'm going to give you his last sold price, and I want you to tell me if he's undervalued or overvalued. Last sold for $905 US.
So my long-standing point of view on LaMelo is that I didn't understand where his hobby value was being driven from, and my feeling was that mostly it was hype.
Okay.
So I was buying more Edwards than LaMelo in his rookie year. That's where I was sitting because I felt that Edwards is a better long-term purchase, and I actually maybe thought that Edwards was going to be the better pro. So probably if I can critique my own opinion, I've probably been wrong in some ways in that LaMelo's actually held his value because for him to be $905, I actually thought it could have been $400 or $600.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I was expecting
you're surprised that he's holding his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for him to be down 13%, well, I'm not that surprised because, the next crop of rookies has come through and then the next crop of rookies from after that is about to come through. And so, people do forget and you do sort of move on to the next thing. And then, the Hornets are just absolutely abysmal.
Rubbish.
I said this year, I think they were, the worst team in the league, and they're probably not the worst team in the league. Houston's been pretty awful this year, but geez, they're not far off being just, the worst team in the league. So
yeah, they're close.
And I don't think that helps someone's hobby value to be on the worst team in the league. And I think for me, if I'm being selfish about, all of this, is that last year the Hornets were so good to watch. What happened? How does someone become fun one year and then just rubbish the next? It's like chemistry of basketball is such a delicate thing.
Well, I mean, they also lost Bridges. Bridges was a very entertaining player and gave them energy.
Bridges was a beast. Bridges was a motor. Bridges was reliable. Bridges did everything for I'm not surprised.
He was flashy, flamboyant, exciting to watch, and he brought the energy that drew people's focus in.
I mean, I wouldn't even call him flamboyant. He was just
he's full of energy.
He had a high motor. Yeah.
But it's that worked well with Melo though. You know what I mean? They
100%. That's a good 1-2 punch. Hey, so getting back to these two cards, what are you buying at the moment? The LaMelo for $905 or the Haliburton for $400?
I think they're both risky buys at the moment, but different reasons. I don't know. You're right. I think Melo's inflated by hype, or could be inflated by hype. I still don't think it's really. I'm not sure with Melo. He's been quiet this year. Do you know what I mean? Because he's, as you said, the worst team in the league. Put the right people around him. He is a great guard, but is he as good as Haliburton?
I think Haliburton's skill level overall is a lot higher than LaMelo Ball. I think there's some things that LaMelo does, Haliburton might not ever be able to do, like his court vision, particularly those long passes that he can thread the needle on. But Haliburton's reads, there's not actually that many people I think that can do some of the stuff. Maybe Chris Paul and Darius Garland.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry can make some of the reads that Haliburton can. And, it's a pretty short list.
Yeah. Look.
So, look, the way I sit on this is if I can get two Haliburtons, which I personally think are rising assets, or I can get one LaMelo that's, in my opinion, going to be a declining asset.
An inflated asset. Yeah, I'm
look,
probably
I've been wrong.
I'm probably buying the Haliburton myself.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was wrong about LaMelo. I thought he would have crashed a lot more and or sooner. So, but I still, my deep down thought is that this is going to be a declining asset. And then Haliburton, look, probably in some ways, we've missed the boat on this. I suspect this was probably 200 or 250 a few months back.
Yeah,
He's actually
yeah.
getting like national media buzz now. He's playing so well.
I do.
So.
I like Haliburton, and I just think you're right. If you've got him, you hold him because he might go up. But the question is how far will he go up with the Indiana factor? No offense to Indiana, but then he's not getting LA level of press coverage. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not a big franchise.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I did just look at the comp that you made to Melo, and that was you were buying up Anthony Edwards. He's on a slide as well.
They're a mess too.
The T-Wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, let's finish it on positive, Ad. Tell me something positive, and then we'll tie it off.
Positive. Something positive. There's nothing. There's no positivity on the run sheet. Oh, wait. Redemption story. Do you want to finish with a redemption story?
Yeah, okay, cool. Actually, there's 2 crackers on here. That's actually, thank you, Adam. Good stuff, mate.
Let's all right. You can read the first one.
All right, I'm not going to read names on this. So,
Okay.
looking for feedback and thoughts on email received from Panini today, re my redemptions. I had 3 outstanding: a LaMelo rookie clearly Donruss Mosaic auto, and a Ja Morant Revolution current year auto, Kevin Johnson Spectra auto. The email has stated redemptions are merged into one, and it looks certain I'm getting a Ja Morant rookie clearly Donruss auto. It also says underneath on 2 separate lines white boxes. So essentially, he's been given 2 white boxes and a Ja Morant clearly autograph. So I'm going to give that an A plus.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. A plus. Perfect way to
that's outstanding. That's
tie off
awesome.
the show. Yep. And then
Love
we can do the other one. Do you want to do the other one, mate?
Yeah, why not? Second story, white box redemption jackpot. So 2 years ago, get in contact with Panini and inquire about this white box thing that I'd heard about for missing redemptions. My actual redemption card was pure trash, had a value of like $20. So the lady at Panini I'm chatting with is like, yeah, no worries, it's on the way. Literally hours after sending me this beast of a white box, she apparently vacated her job. Thank you for the as a thank you for the email sent. The next was a reply by someone informing me of the situation, bringing me up to speed that Panini will no longer do white boxes moving forwards. 3 weeks later, my box arrives. Was this the last box sent by Panini? Did this woman just YOLO and send out a good box for my missing redemption? Only Panini knows, my friends. But without further ado, a Tyler Hero rookie signature 1 of 1. This is like for a trash redemption.
Yep. So A plus. And
yeah, it's an A++. But
and even if your opinion, and people put this in the comments down below, like there's always someone, poo-pooing. Even if you don't believe that these cards are 1 of 1, they're just a card with a sticker on it. If that is your opinion, even if that is your opinion, it's still dramatically better than a $20 like no-name redemption. So the longer we do this exercise and the more that we do it, the more I'm actually seeing Panini come good. So guys, don't hold back. We do have the pinned post on the page. If you get a bad redemption story, like please tell us about it, because I want to tell the good and I want to tell the bad. And honestly, all I'm seeing so far, and I feel like I've made a concerted effort to try and collect information, I'm mostly seeing, good stories here. So
yeah,
I'm feeling good
to
about
see
this.
them coming to the party. That said, the bad stories will be people that go, I just got points. And for things that they don't think they should have got points for. Yeah, I feel like that's the opposite side, and that's probably
fine.
Not I want a bad thing from Panini. That's actually
it depends how many points they get, right? I think if you get less than 5,000, honestly it's tricky.
Yeah,
because
I had a bunch of, and I'll call them trash redemptions that that were just converted into 150 points.
I don't think you should get combined redemptions for 150 points. I think, frankly, you should get like...
No, all of that. It was like email after email. By the way, we've changed the thing. Here's 150 points. By the way, here's a redemption, 150 points. Like, I think I've got about 900 points.
Oh,
the
you got
redemption.
150 per. I was going to say,
Per
you should have got at
trash
least 150 per at
trashy
least.
redemption. Yeah.
Yeah, but you should get. Honestly, I think you should get more. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I still can't log into my Panini account to check.
Come on, Ad. Okay, so one thing I do want to talk about on this though is that, and I'm going to follow this up with some people who are more tuned into the hobby than me. They'll no longer be doing white boxes. So I want to reach out to Mike Gio. I want to reach out to Eric.
Yeah.
And Charlie from Cherry and see if that's true, because
that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Because what's their strategy going to be moving forward if they don't do white boxes?
There's
because
points.
I think they were a really big pull for people.
I think points are going to be the way.
Well, think about how many points that would be worth. I would say that would be worth at least 25,000 to 30,000 points.
Yeah, but at least points you've got. There's nothing outstanding if you use points.
Yeah, but no one's going to be giving out 30,000 points. I couldn't imagine that Panini's giving out 30,000 points.
Why wouldn't they? Do you know? But why wouldn't they? If they give out points, the transaction is concluded. There's nothing outstanding. That's the problem. Well, not the problem, but that's why it's the cleaner solution for them.
Yeah, I suppose points gives you choice. I'll agree with that, but I'm just saying to you, like generally, good stuff on the page
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I just look. I think the way they're handling redemptions at the moment is they're clearing a backlog and they are doing an amazing job. So good job, Panini.
Yeah, and we want to hear. We're not pumping up Panini's tires on this. I'm just reporting what I'm seeing. So if you guys have got bad stories,
we want to hear your horror stories about.
You know
Panini.
where to find us.
Speaking of which, do you want to go through the socials before we wrap this bad boy up?
All right, fine, let's go.
Well, you can't comp this literally in the search bar, and you should be able to find us on Instagram,
Twitter,
TikTok,
Gmail,
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify.
We're spreading our electronic wings.
We're everywhere. No wonder nobody emails us. There's so many other platforms you can reach out to us on.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks for another fantastic week, and we will see everybody else next week.
Thanks, everyone, for listening, guys. See you later. Bye.